Three giant pythons coiled tightly around an old man in the middle of a quiet, forgotten forest. His cries for help vanished into the stillness. No one knew he was in danger. It looked like the end, slow, silent, and terrifying. But just when it seemed there was no way out, a shadow moved through the tall grass. It didn't roar. It didn't make a sound. It wasn't a human. It wasn't a hunter. It was a lion. But instead of attacking, it walked straight toward the old man and faced the snakes. Why would a wild lion do such a thing? Why would it protect a human instead of killing one? Watch closely, because what happened next left the entire forest frozen in shock. Nature may not speak, but it never forgets. Before starting the video, please like the channel, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you never miss our new videos. That morning in the Limpopo Valley felt strange. Too quiet. For more than 30 years, Jonas had lived alone in a small wooden hut at the edge of the forest. He was used to the sounds of birds singing, insects buzzing, and leaves rustling in the breeze. But today, there was nothing. No sounds at all. It was as if the whole forest had stopped breathing. Jonas stepped onto his porch with a warm cup of tea in his hand. The sunlight fell weak and pale through a thin mist. It touched the trees without warming them. The silence around him wasn't peaceful. It felt heavy, like a warning. Jonas had seen wild storms. He had heard elephants marching in the night. But this stillness was different. It was cold and deep, as if the forest was waiting for something. He put his cup down and stepped off the porch. He didn't know why he did it. He didn't take his walking stick. Something inside him just told him to go. He followed a narrow dirt path that led toward the lowlands, a flat, dry area that turned into swamp during the rains. The ground beneath his feet cracked as he walked. The tall grass brushed against his legs. There was no wind, no birds, no movement at all. The forest felt like a shadow. But as he walked deeper, a memory stirred inside him. Many years ago, right there in the lowlands, he had found a tiny lion cub. It was injured and shaking, its back leg twisted, its ribs showing. Its eyes were filled with pain and fear. Jonas didn't know why, but he had picked it up and taken it home. For 10 days, he cared for it, cleaned its wounds, fed it, spoke softly to it. And then on the 11th day, the cub stood up, looked at him one last time, and walked back into the forest without a sound. Jonas had never seen it again. He had never come back to that place since, until today. Now, as he stood in that same quiet land, he looked around. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. Something had changed, not in the trees or the grass, but in the rhythm of the forest. It was like a piece of the world had shifted slightly, just enough to make you feel in your bones. Jonas walked slowly, deeper into the unknown. He didn't know what he was looking for. He didn't know why he was drawn to this place. But sometimes, after you've lived in the wild long enough, you stop needing answers. You just listen to the feeling inside you, the feeling that tells you something important is about to happen. Jonas stepped through the tall grass, his eyes scanning the ground. That's when he saw them. Strange marks on the dirt, long, thick drag lines, as wide as a man's body, twisting across the dry earth like ropes pulled through mud. He knelt down and touched the edge of one. The soil was damp, too damp for such a hot morning. Something had passed through here recently. Something heavy, no hoof prints, no claws. Just smooth, deep impressions. Jonas felt a chill. He had seen these in books, but never in real life. These were the tracks of a python, a very large one. The air felt colder now, though the sun was rising. Still no birds, no wind, just the sound of his own heartbeat in his ears. He placed his palm in one of the wider tracks. It was broader than his chest. A strange feeling crept over him, like the world around him had shifted without making a sound. He felt it in the back of his neck, as if something was watching him, something that had already decided he was prey. Then the ground moved. It wasn't loud. It wasn't fast. Just the faintest tremble in the earth, like something crawling beneath the tall grass. Jonas took one step back, but he never got to take the second. Something lashed out from the grass, fast as a whip, smooth and strong, wrapping tightly around his ankle. He fell forward, landing hard on his knees, hands scraping the dirt. Before he could push himself up, another coil, colder and heavier, wrapped around his waist and chest. The pressure was unbearable, like a wall of stone closing in. He couldn't breathe. His arms thrashed, his fingers clawed at the ground, but there was no escape. Then a third shape slid silently across his shoulder. A thick body looped around his neck. Not fast, not violent, just slow, steady, and final. It didn't squeeze all at once. It squeezed little by little, as if it knew exactly how much pressure it would take to stop his lungs. His vision started to blur. The sky above him faded from blue to white, then to gray. He could hear nothing now but the dull thud of his heartbeat, slower, weaker. Jonas didn't cry out. He couldn't. There was no air left in his chest. No sound escaped his lips. He wasn't thinking of survival anymore. He wasn't thinking of the lion cub or his little wooden hut. He was only thinking one thought. So this is how it ends. He felt his body go limp, not from fear, but from the crushing pressure. His ribs groaned. His muscles twitched. His mouth opened, but the air would not come. The world faded, not with violence, but with stillness. His hands stopped moving. His eyes were open, but they saw nothing. It was over. And then, just as his last thought slipped away, something changed. Not a hiss, not a growl, just a low, heavy sound, like weight pressing down on dry ground. A shadow moved through the dust. Not fast, not loud, but steady. Something was coming. Something that made even the forest pause. Through the blur of fading light, Jonas saw a shape, a large, dark shadow move at the edge of his vision. It didn't make a sound. It didn't rush forward. Each step it took pressed gently into the earth, kicking up little clouds of dust that floated slowly in the still air. As it came closer, Jonas forced his eyes open. His chest burned with every shallow breath. Then he saw it, a lion. It didn't roar. It didn't leap. It simply walked forward, calm and powerful, like it had always belonged there. Its golden fur shimmered under the pale sunlight. A long scar stretched across its side, old, faded, but clear. Its shoulders were broad, its eyes deep and focused. But what stopped Jonas's heart was the look in those eyes. They were not the eyes of a wild predator. They were eyes he had seen before, long ago, in a helpless lion cub that had once shivered in his arms. The lion looked straight at the snakes. It didn't glance at Jonas, not even once. But Jonas knew this lion was here for him. The snakes felt it too. Their rhythm stopped. The coils around Jonas froze in place. No movement, no tightening, just stillness. It was as if nature itself had paused. The pythons didn't understand fear, but they understood power. And the lion was power. It lowered its head, not in fear, but to shift its weight. Its muscles rippled. In one breathless moment, it launched forward, silent, fast, and unstoppable. Its first strike was pure force. It slammed into the python wrapped around Jonas's leg, knocking it loose just enough for Jonas to suck in one painful breath. Dust flew. The lion's claws slashed the earth. The python hissed, a dry, angry sound, and tried to recoil, but the lion was faster. With one clean bite, the lion sank its teeth into the snake's thick middle. Blood sprayed, dark and sharp in the air. Jonas could feel the grip around his body begin to shift. His lungs pulled in air, weak but real. He opened his eyes just enough to see the battle playing out before him. The second python lunged. It uncoiled from Jonas's chest and raised its body high, ready to strike. But the lion was already moving. It dodged, then turned with a powerful swipe of its paw. Its claws tore through the snake's smooth scales, leaving a deep red line across its side. Now both pythons were in full attack. One wrapped around the lion's waist. The other tried to strike again, but the lion didn't stop. It reared up and slammed its full weight onto the snake's spine. There was a cracking sound, sharp and final. The python twisted and shook. The lion pulled back, breathing heavily, its shoulder bleeding. The last python, the one around Jonas's neck, had stayed still all this time, but now it tensed. It knew the fight was turning. The lion stepped forward, slow and steady, leaving a trail of blood behind. Its eyes were locked on the final threat. The snake struck fast. It lunged and caught the lion's shoulder, but the lion didn't pull away. Instead, it turned into the attack, let the coil wrap around its body, and then it moved. Its front paw hooked the snake's tail and ripped upward, slicing through its back like bark peeling off an old tree. Dust flew, blood spilled. The two bodies twisted together, one a creature of muscle and scales, the other of bone and fire. Jonas lay on the ground, barely able to move. His chest rose and fell in short, broken gasps. He watched as a final blow came. The lion bit down on the python's neck and drove it into the earth. The snake bucked once, twice, then stopped. The forest was quiet again. The lion stood there, chest heaving, blood running from its wounds. Then its legs shook. It dropped gently to the ground, right beside Jonas. No roar, no cry, just a deep breath, as if its part was done. Its head rested softly against Jonas's arm. Their eyes met, not as man and beast, but as two souls that had once shared a moment in time. Jonas couldn't speak. His throat was raw, but his hand moved. He placed it gently on the lion's forehead. Its fur was rough, warm, slowly cooling. And then, in complete silence, the lion took its final breath. Jonas didn't move. He sat beside the lion in silence. The battle was over, but the weight in his chest remained. Not the pain of his injuries. That would fade. It was something deeper. Something that reached beyond the moment. His hand rested gently on the lion's forehead. The fur was no longer warm. The breath beneath it had stilled. But something sacred lingered, not in the body, but in the space between them. He didn't cry. Maybe he had no tears left. Or maybe some grief is too big for sound. The forest around him was silent, yet it didn't feel empty. It felt full, like it had witnessed something it could never forget. The sun slipped through the leaves above, landing gently across the lion's back. Not as heat, but like a farewell. Jonas didn't know how long he sat there. Time had lost its shape. But when the weight under his hand began to feel lighter, not because he let go, but because life had fully left the lion's body, he understood. A part of the forest had just gone quiet forever. Still, something else remained. A soft shift in his chest, a slow warmth that pushed away the cold. It wasn't joy. It wasn't peace. It was a quiet realization that the bond he once formed, the kindness he once gave, had never truly disappeared. It had waited. It had returned. And it had stood between him and death when no one else could. Later, Jonas walked back to his small wooden home as the sun began to set. He didn't look back. He didn't need to, because a part of him had stayed behind. In the dust, in the soil, in the body of the lion that had given its life for him. In the days that followed, people noticed something different about him. He wasn't louder. He didn't speak more. If anything, he had grown quieter. Each morning, he would step out onto his porch and gaze toward the far hollow, the place where the sun rose the slowest. Sometimes, he'd touch a small scar on his neck, just to remind himself that he was still here. He never told anyone what happened, not because he was hiding it, but because he knew the truth didn't need to be proven. Some stories are not meant for the world. They are meant for the soul. And if there was one thing Jonas truly believed after that day, it was this. If you have ever shown kindness, even once, even long ago, trust that it is never forgotten. Nature may not speak, but it remembers. And sometimes, when you least expect it, a soul will rise from the shadows. Not to take, but to give back, to pull you back to life. That day, a lion fell down, but something else rose in its place. The quiet, unshakable truth that kindness never dies. If you like this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. Also, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you.